get close to spring, a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks away, before people start getting their planting ready for flowers and different things in their planters and flower pots and things. This year, I'm going to make some different planters using one by one by decking board. It's about 8 foot long, but I'm gonna cut it in the sections of 3 foot long and make it about probably go a foot tall with it. Um, Maybe a little bit longer, maybe 14 inches tall. Probably gonna make it about 11, maybe a foot wide. It's gonna be 3 foot long, and this is a pretty easy build. All right, got my planter box built. I'm about to start. Straighten you up there. What I did, this is the box. It's about 3 feet long. What I did yesterday was I engraved with a CNC bit and my handheld Ryobi router. I cut this out with the Cricut decal, which was like this on the vinyl paper. Made myself a stencil, drew over it with pencil, and then I went in with the CNC router and carved out each letter and the detail on the side. Then I spray painted it black, so when I get ready to stain the whole thing, the letters will stay black. So that's what I'm getting ready to do now. I'm going to sand the excessive black off of it, and then I'll be ready to pre-stain and stain the box. All right, and this is the part where I'm getting ready to sand the excessive black off paint. I'm using an 80 grit sandpaper to start with, and I'll go back over it with the 120 grit. So this takes a little while, and it could be a little bit difficult depending on how much paint you put on. But I did put quite a lot of paint on this part here. I just wanted to make sure that the engraved letters got enough paint in them to where you wouldn't see any of the wood show. So I'll sand this for a little bit. You can see as I'm sanding that the letters will start appearing, the parts that are sprayed into the engraved part. Once again, I use a CNC bit. I've got 4 or 5 bits that I use. I don't have a CNC machine because those are very expensive. So the next best thing is I put it in my handheld router and I route them out with the CNC bits. And to me, it looks just as good. Lettering does. Now artwork may be a little bit more difficult, and you can still do it with a handheld router. It may take a little longer, and you have to have a specialized. There's certain bits that have sharper points on them for the finer parts to get into. But I have like 4 or 5 I've ordered off Amazon, and they all work pretty well. The block lettering is a lot easier to do, of course. The artwork can be done, but a CNC would probably do it a lot quicker. All this would be done a lot quicker than handheld router, but I enjoy doing it, so it doesn't bother me. So this is my first planter box with writing on the side of it for this year. This is the first type planter box I built like this year. Usually I build the square ones, but I'm gonna try this one and see how this works. I was able to take off the black, and that's what it looks like now. Take off the black spray paint and it just leaves it inside the letters. Probably got to clean them out a little bit. I got some dust in it. I can blow that out. What I'll do now is I'll go ahead and pre-stain the whole thing, and then I'll stain it. That's the inside in case you're wondering. But I'll go ahead and stain this outside of it, let it dry, and it'll be ready to put up for sale. That's basically how I do them. I've got a smaller version that I'm doing next. It's the same type box, but it's a little bit shorter. This is it right here. I've got my stencil cut out already for it. You can't see it on the stencil, but it says welcome on it. So that's going to go on the front of this one, which is a smaller version, but make multiple sizes of these things because sometimes people like multiple sizes. Anyway, that's my next step. Then we're going to get this thing stained. All right, now time for the staining process. Got my supplies here, my 2 rags, a white rag and a dry rag. Got my latex gloves because stain is very messy. I'm gonna use dark walnut on this project here, and it will get on the lettering, but since the lettering is black, you won't be able to see the stain on the lettering. Compared to if you were using white lettering, then you would try your best to try to not get the stain in the area where the writing's at. That's why using a rag versus a brush would be easier on this part here. But being this black letters, it's not going to show if I do get some on there. I try to be very careful not to get too much on there anyway on the lettering part. But this is the next step. Dark walnut from Minwax. And this is the small can because this is the only project I'll be using this color stain for. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this little can up. But spreads pretty well. It's nice looking color. It doesn't overshadow the letters too much, but it makes the wood a little darker than this, but light enough to where you can see the lettering through the stain. And I'm applying the stain on now with a little cut up t-shirt rag, and as you see, I'm going around the letters. I'm trying not to get it on the letters, but like I said, it doesn't hurt if it does because you can't really see the stain on the black. But I completely cover this entire box, the planter, with this dark walnut stain, and I'll wipe it with the white rag to get the excessive stain off of it. I'll stain just a little ways inside of the box, not all the way down to the bottom, because that part will not be seen anyway, because you'll have the soil and the landscape fabric in there. So I wouldn't. This is treated wood. This is oil-based stain, so I wouldn't use this type planter I'm building here for food plants or anything that you'd be eating. It would not be safe to do that. So I would just use outdoor plants for flowers and stuff like that for these type planters. So I'll try to let the customers know that right off the bat, so they don't put any food plants in these things. I can make them to where they can use it that way. You would use a water-based stain, and you'd use non-treated wood. So of course, at the end, you'd use a polycleric compared to the outdoor decking stain finish that I'm going to use on this here to protect the box itself and the stain. But wiping it dry here with the rag, and this will be the next step before I get ready to put some framing on it. This is what it looks like now. Welcome to the garden. And what I decided to do after staining it, I thought it looked kind of plain, so I decided to go ahead and put lip trim around it on the top and on the sides using pallet wood, this pallet wood trim. And I stained it also, so now after it dries for 24 hours, tomorrow I'll come back out and coat it with the outdoor deck stain that I use for my cornhole boards also. Several coats of that, and I'll be ready to put it up for sale then. So right now, this is all I can do with it now. I can move on to my smaller one. All right, I'm on the smaller planter now with the wording just going to have welcome on it. This is the process that you didn't see the first time around with the other planter. This came off my Cricut machine. I'm pulling the letters out of the vinyl now, weeding the letters out, and I'll use this as a stencil. So I've already pre-cut all this stuff and get ready to put it on the side of this board, and I'll spray paint it. I'm gonna use a burgundy color for this one. I haven't quite figured out what stain I'm gonna use, but I'm gonna use a little bit different color of lettering. All right, I got the lettering cut out. I got the stencil made. I've got the vinyl in my hand. It's got a transfer tape over top of it. What I'm trying to do now is just line it up. Of course, my head's in the way. Line it up and get it straight on the top portion of the board. And I'm going to get my squeegee and just get it all wiped down, get it all scrolled over, so get the air bubbles out of it and make sure it sticks to the wood real good. It's not necessarily important that it sticks really well to the wood because it's not going to stay on there. I'm just going to use it as a stencil to draw over with a Sharpie. Get all the air bubbles out of it, and I'll pull the transfer tape off of it to get ready to write through it. This portion here, you got to have really good patience with this part. This is where I'm pulling the transfer tape off, and the vinyl doesn't stick good to this treated wood because it's sort of a little bit damp type wood. But I'm pulling the transfer tape off best I can without pulling the decal off, without pulling the stencil off. So it takes a little while, and it's kind of nerve-wracking at times trying to get the vinyl off the transfer tape. But like I said, it ain't got to be perfect, just so I can write the letters, trace over the letters with a Sharpie to get ready to cut them. All right, in this part here, I've got the letters traced out with the Sharpie, as you can see on the board there. I'm getting my handheld router with the CNC bit in it, and I'm going to route out these letters. Like I said, if you had a CNC machine, this would move a whole lot faster, and you wouldn't have to sit there and actually do it or even be around it and do it all by itself. But those things are very expensive, so I'm doing it the cheaper version, but all in the long run, the results pretty much the same, in my opinion, on the letters. But go ahead and route these things out. You see I got my headlamp on so I can see what I'm doing, even though it's in Sharpie. That's why I use a Sharpie versus a pencil, because I want to make sure I'm cutting the right part of the letter. Sometimes it gets a little confusing at the turns, especially if it's written in cursive type lettering compared to block letter. But this will take a little bit. Probably the longest part of the wording itself is the engraving. And pretty much this will be the end of this video. I'm still working on this box as I'm showing this video, but it is going to be burgundy letters, and I'll decide on what stain to use to go over top of it.